This was the last recorded sighting of 15-year-old Paige Doherty alive, and it marked the start of a frightening inquiry. 2 days after her abduction, Paige's body was discovered with roughly 150 stab wounds. What happened next was even more scary than her body's awful condition. A strange man caught on CCTV, a cryptic Facebook post, and a disturbing scene involving a little child wielding a knife. The dark secrets revealed in this harrowing case would frighten even a small community. Paige had a sleepover at her buddy Lawrence's house on March 18, 2016. They gave each other makeovers and had a great time together. However, they had no idea that this would be their final meeting, and their lives would never be the same. The next day, March 19, 2016, Paige's mother, Pamela Monroe, attempted to contact her, but was unable. Paige had forgotten her charger at home, so her mother assumed her phone had died and she couldn't charge it. However, later that day, Pamela received a call from Paige's boyfriend, Dylan, informing her that Paige had not arrived for work. He stated that he was unable to contact her, which was uncommon given that she always notified him where she was and what she was doing. When Pamela heard this, she had chills down her spine and immediately sought assistance in finding her daughter. The police immediately began an investigation, delving further into Paige's life to acquire any relevant evidence. Paige's mother characterized her as gregarious and outgoing, with a deep interest in fashion, hair, and makeup. Paige was also quite active on social media, and she aspired to own a beauty salon one day, having already worked as a hairdresser. Paige, her mother, stepfather, and siblings lived in Clydebank. She also had an excellent bond with her biological father. Paige spent a lot of time with her close friends who shared her hobbies, in addition to her loving family. Paige's family and friends, together with Pamela, set up a Facebook page to collect information on where she might have gone. Unfortunately, no information was discovered about Paige's whereabouts. Meanwhile, the police conducted a thorough search for the teenager. They searched all the locations surrounding her friend's house, but she was nowhere to be seen. On March 21, 2016, two pedestrians discovered Paige's body in a highly wooded area near Glasgow's access lane at Great Western Road, shattering all thoughts of seeing her smile again. The police were quickly notified, and the investigators soon discovered one of the most terrible crimes of their careers. Paige's body was in poor condition, bruised and covered in plastic waste bags. However, after analyzing the scene, experts concluded that she was most likely slain somewhere and her body dumped there. Even forensic professionals, who had seen many horrible cases, were taken aback by the extent of her injuries. Paige was not abused, according to the autopsy report, but she did incur many stab wounds to her neck and head. Most of the injuries were determined to be defensive in mentality.
43 of them, which were stab wounds, were to basically the head and neck area. The significant injury to that body was to the left-hand side of the neck. And beyond the stab wounds, there were approximately above 80, I think it was 85 incised wounds, which we would call a slashing movement.
This implied that she must have fought for her life in the closing seconds. Investigators were now searching for a brutal killer rather than a missing adolescent. A killer who demonstrated such hatred toward a small girl posed a clear threat to society. While searching for the offender, the police discovered a critical lead on social media. This lead nearly seemed to fall into their laps. Investigators noticed a post from a 17-year-old Glasgow lad that tagged Paige's Facebook profile. In his horrible post, he openly claimed to have killed Paige and even uploaded a picture of himself licking a crimson liquid off a knife. Police raced to question him, but would it really be that simple? A self-proclaimed killer appears on social media, claims to have slain Paige, and the case is closed? Well, not quite. After an investigation, the authorities determined that the post was a twisted prank by the 17-year-old and had no connection to the murder. Posting a picture and claiming to have killed Paige was a callous attempt to incite Paige's family and law enforcement, who were working frantically to uncover the culprit. Although cops took action against the youngster, they were still looking for the real offender. Despite their best efforts, the investigators were unsuccessful. They turned their attention to Paige's life, investigating where she used to go, who her friends were, and whether anyone had a reason to kill her, but they discovered nothing. They took Paige's typical route to her office, trying to identify the location where she went missing, and they did. Paige worked part-time at a hairdresser in Clydebank and commuted there by bus. Before boarding the bus, she frequently purchased food at the 22 Fleming Avenue Market, where she was last seen. Officers arrived at the scene and began their investigation by interrogating shopkeepers and neighborhood neighbors. One of the merchants, Ashi Ahmed, recognized Paige and acknowledged to seeing her on the day she went missing. He stated she waved farewell to him and went on her way. Ahmed informed the cops that she went into a deli on the same row as his shop. Investigators spoke with the deli proprietor, who confirmed that Paige had gone in to purchase a bread roll but left shortly thereafter. Investigators worked closely with Ahmed to get even the most basic information about Paige, as he was one of the last individuals to see her. Determined to help, Ahmed created a video and shared it on social media to raise awareness about the missing girl.
I was one of the last guys to see Paige alive, and I put my hand up to wave to her and I says to her, "You alright?" And she replied back, "I am alright, and I'll see you later on, Ashi." And that was the last word she said.
By this point, the authorities had obtained CCTV footage from Ahmed's shop that showed Paige's final known movements. Around 9:21 a.m., she was spotted walking in the vicinity and entering Delicious Deli, which is owned by John Leathem, as Ahmed had reported. However, something odd piqued the detectives' interest. As they examined the film, they discovered a startling fact. Paige was seen entering Delicious Deli, but never seen exiting, contradicting John's earlier allegation. Officers saw, on the CCTV footage from Ahmed's shop, that John, the deli owner, was regularly seen coming in and out. He was first seen outside the deli at 9:27 a.m., almost 1 hour after Paige was last recorded on camera. He parked his automobile just outside his deli. Then, at 9:58 a.m., he went into a nearby shop to buy something and returned within 5 minutes. At 10:03 a.m., John was observed outside again, placing something in his car's trunk before returning to his store. Throughout this time, the deli remained closed. When one of the surrounding hairdressers peeked through the closed shutters and asked if there was something wrong, John stated that his worker had not arrived and that he had just had a nosebleed. He drove away around 11:59 a.m. after the deli had closed for regular business hours. That evening, at 6:04 p.m., he returned to the deli and began normal operations. However, by this point, he had changed his clothes, raising additional suspicions among detectives. On March 23, 2016, forensic professionals conducted a thorough investigation of Delicious Deli, as well as adjacent residences and vehicles, after becoming suspicious of John's actions that day. Despite their efforts, they discovered nothing about Paige's disappearance. They also looked at the CCTV footage from John's shop, but Paige was never seen entering, which was extremely suspicious. Nonetheless, the police were leery about John Leathem's activities. On March 24th, 2016, he was seized and taken in for interrogation. His interrogation began the next day, March 25th.
Linking you to Paige Doherty. You sure about that? And did you say positive? Is that because you did murder Paige Doherty? When they charge you, John Leathem at Delicious Deli did repeatedly attack, strike and stab the deceased to the face, neck and arms, and you did murder her. Do you understand the charge? Have you anything to say? What's going on in that shop? She's gone into your shop that morning to buy a roll for her breakfast and she never walks out of that shop again. And what has caused Paige Doherty to be in that state? You're the only person who's been in and out of that shop. You're the only person who can tell us what happened.
He firmly denied being involved in Paige's murder. When asked if authorities would uncover anything related to the crime in his deli, he confidently said no. John's assertion appeared to be correct, as the forensic team had not been able to unearth any tangible evidence from the deli.
So I come into the kitchen area and I'm looking for any visible, obvious blood staining, and I didn't see any. I then went into this office area and there was no obvious blood staining either. If there had been an assault in this room, then I would expect to find more. It looked neat, it looked tidy, it did not look like there'd been a disturbance in here.
However, strong new evidence quickly emerged, supporting the police's conclusion that Paige's murder occurred in John's deli. Ashi Ahmed, a neighboring shopkeeper, told the police that on the day of Paige's disappearance, John purchased gloves, bleach, bin bags, and other cleaning materials from his shop. Officers had seen that John's car and store had been recently cleaned, and his car had even been seen in the area where Paige's body was eventually discovered. This information was enough for the police to re-examine the deli, which they did. This time, the forensic team chose to investigate beneath the flooring, where they discovered bloodstains between the boards. Forensic scientists also detected bloodstains on some appliances, indicating that there could have been a lot more blood in the area, which was later cleaned. With the new evidence, they had enough to arrest John Leathem. He was accused with Paige Doherty's murder on March 26, 2016. When the perpetrator's identity was revealed to the public, the community was outraged because no one anticipated such a killer to live among them. On September 5, 2016, John finally revealed that he had killed Paige. However, the motivation for his horrific conduct would prove to be much more astonishing than the crime itself. John stated that he killed Paige after she threatened to accuse him of inappropriate behavior. He claimed that Paige had walked into his deli and asked for a job, but he rejected since she was underage. John informed her that he would need to speak with her mother about the position, but she refused to listen. He stated she then threatened to start shouting if he did not hire her. Panicked, John said he had no idea what to do because they were the only ones in the deli at the moment. John went on to say that his twin brother had previously been accused of identical allegations and experienced social shame. He didn't want to face the same destiny or end up on the sex offender list like his brother. He stated that he killed Paige out of panic at the time. Surprisingly, he also admitted that he had stored Paige's body in his garden shed before discarding it. He even went on a vacation to the Bahamas with his wife and 2 children the day after killing her. When he returned, he used the opportunity to dispose of her body. He defended his conduct by claiming that if he hadn't killed her that day, she would have harmed his reputation in the community. However, another question arose regarding his comments. Paige enjoyed her job as a hairdresser and was content there, so why would she suddenly want to work at a deli? Was John telling the truth? Or was he concealing something more sinister? Unfortunately, these queries go unanswered. Only 2 people know what happened that fateful day. One was killed, and the other appeared to be lying. On October 12, 2016, 7 months after Paige's murder, John pled guilty and received his sentence at Glasgow's High Court. The court found that John Leathem was mentally sound and stable, with no criminal background or evidence of psychosis. The judge referred to his crime as a brutal and furious attack.
It is impossible to comprehend how an apparently happily married man with a young child who's running a successful business is capable of such an horrific level of violence.
John was sentenced to at least 27 years in prison before being entitled to seek for parole. Paige's mother felt relief following John's conviction. However, in February 2017, John challenged his conviction, and his minimum sentence was reduced to 23 years. While John Leathem was the only one punished in court, others had to suffer alongside him. John's wife and 2 children were forced to flee their home, owing to threats to burn it down. Meanwhile, Paige's family was left to grieve the loss of their daughter. They did, however, find some solace in the memorial garden they established for Paige. Paige's father died tragically, just 2 years after her death, and his mother claimed he died of a shattered heart. This was a case of unexpected fury, shattered dreams, and immense anguish. Paige Doherty will always be remembered as a happy and loving girl. So, what do you think about this case? Do you think John's motive for killing Paige was legitimate? If not, what do you believe actually happened?